fund our leagues and we will still whine that we don't get paid enough. And honestly, when athletes do shit like this, it makes all of us look bad.
That's when she got the ball. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can't you can't get a half court run and start to dunk the ball.
Stop giving your money to woke corporations that hate you and your values. That's why I order all my men's shaving products from Jeremy Razors. Order your Precision 5 starter set today. This set comes with 4 razor blades, sharp as true, with tungsten handle and flip back trimmer. You're not in the market for razors? Jeremy Razors also has other facial products fit just for men. So you don't have to stock your bathroom with products that clean your body but stains your conscience. So shut up and shave. Go to jeremyrazors.com and use CBurns15 to save 15% off. That's jeremyrazors.com. Use my special code CBurns15 to save 15% off.
I saw this video last night. I'm not a true fan of Pearl because sometimes I think she be grifting. I think her talking points is like she regurgitate the same talking points. I don't think and maybe because she's just young, she's just regurgitating things that she heard and she agrees with. I don't think it's authentic. I think she regurgitates the same information. But anyway, needless to say, she was on Piers Morgan. And this is not her first time being on Piers Morgan. She's been on Piers Morgan several times debating. One of her controversial talking points is she don't think women should be able to vote because she feels like women don't contribute to society, which is kind of weird that she would say that, because even though we might not sign up for a plumbing job, or most men are building establishments, but you do have some women, they contribute. They are nurses, they are doctors, there's some women engineers, women sign up in the armed forces. You have some women, and most women, if you are employed, you got to pay taxes. So I don't know where that comes from, but she was debating if women should be paid the same amount as men. And I totally agree with her sentiment.
Let's have those issues aired in the appropriate, spaces.
We are.
In sports, have that discussion amongst, sports people. But literally, it's about priorities, isn't it? There is a certain number of time that we have on these shows to discuss the issues that matter.
You don't think women's... Hang on, before we come to our next...
I don't think women's sport matters as much as climate change.
I
think having a planet in which we can play sport matters more than the rules of sport.
Does women's equality matter?
I know that makes me probably absolutely
Does women's equality matter to you?
Well, yeah, of course. But actually, the whole point that I was going to make on this segment actually is that, you cannot separate feminism from class issues. If you're just going around saying, I don't know, I think the female CEO of a weapons manufacturer should be paid the same as a male CEO, and that's the hill I'm going to die on. I'm not fighting that fight with you, because ultimately, what I care about are the struggles that ordinary women face every day.
Well, let's come to the main point of the segment, which is this issue of women's rights to be paid the same as men in sport. Now, the Australian women's football team have criticised the pay gap in the upcoming World Cup prize money. Let's take a look at what they said as a team.
736 footballers have the honour of representing their country on the world's biggest stage, this tournament.
Yet many are still denied the basic right to organise and collectively bargain.
Collective bargaining has allowed us to ensure we now get the same conditions as the Socceroos, with one exception. FIFA will still only offer women 1/4 as much prize money as men for the same achievement.
Well, OK, this is interesting, Pearl, because if you look at the revenue, for example, in 2019, FIFA generated £586 million in total revenue. The men's, for the 2019-22 cycle, £5.8 billion. Record revenue through the Men's World Cup. So the women's game...
Did you guys hear the revenue? I mean, I know it's in pounds, but that's the same in United States, okay? I believe, if we take the WNBA versus the NBA, the WNBA made $61 million last year, okay? And then the NBA, $10 billion. $10 billion. And the WNBA, that was last year. The WNBA revenue, okay, I stand corrected because I was thinking that was projected revenue. They projected it will make more. They thinking it's going to do 200 million. So a great difference that's generated, or 180 million. But anyway, look, it's a substantial difference between women and men as far as revenue. Now, if we're talking about collective bargaining agreement, or we're talking about a percentage split, okay, percentage split of your revenue. Do you want to have the same things that the guys have, like access to sports trainers, maybe physical therapists, the same type of facilities? Okay, then your revenue is going to shrink, or your monies will shrink, because now we got to, okay, your salary is all inclusive. If people know about salary, when you get hired at a job, okay, this is your salary, but what that also is included in your salary package is healthcare benefits, other type of benefits that your employer offers you, 401k, different types of stock purchases or stock options, if you or profit sharing. Those are all included in your salary. So if you're saying, hey, I want more benefits in my collective bargaining agreement, okay, we want 8% of our revenues or 10% of our revenues. Okay, that's fine and dandy. But note that if you say I want a better facility, okay, who's going to eat up that cost? We're going to add that into the total amount of your salary. This is just common sense. And I don't know why this is still a topic, a thing that people don't understand.
Has come on in leaps and bounds. The English Lionesses, fantastic win, sellout crowds, they're making a lot more money. They're definitely way, way further now towards where the men are commercially than they were, but they're still a way off. Mm-hmm. And when you saw at Wimbledon, for example, the men's final was watched by 3 times as many people, and yet they were both free to air on the BBC. You could watch both if you wanted to. So there was 3 times as much interest in the men's game. They played 2 sets more per match than the women do, and yet the women get equal pay. I'm not quite sure why. I don't think it's a matter of equality. It's just a matter of fairness, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I won. I think all of the women should thank the men for funding our leagues, because most of our leagues would not exist without the men, number one. Number two, when we have the same numbers, then we should get the same pay. I'm sorry, I play volleyball at the highest level, and it's like, when we make what the men make and get the crowds that the men draw, then we should get paid the same.
Well, see, why is it actually a fight for equality, Grace? I mean, why, if women in a particular sport, for example, turned out to generate more revenue, right, because they were more watchable, and in America, the women's football team is better than the men, and they do generate, even at school level, far more interest from girls than boys, for example. I don't see why equality should be the aim. Why shouldn't they get paid more than the men?
Well, look, I mean, there are all...
No, because, Pierce, you're asking the wrong question. They don't want equality. They want more pay. They don't want equality. So we can't say, hey, we want equality. We just want to get paid more. That's just what it is. So they want to get paid more, and they wondering why they're not bringing in $1 million salaries. And to what is the girl's name? Pearl's point. She made a valid point. Hey, we need to be thinking, and I didn't play sports in high school. I did, but I wasn't good enough to make it on to no other field. But if you really think about it, most of the female sports is subsidized by the men's sport. So, like she said, we should be thinking that, hey, thank you for subsidizing me. Thank you for footing the bill. Now, is that sexist? Maybe so. Maybe you think that's a sexist remark. But I think if you're not making the money, why should you get paid more if you don't bring in enough revenue? Maybe you need to look at other maybe you need to get sponsorships, like some of these gymnastic players. Some of these gymnastic players or competitors, they end up getting sponsors from Wheaties, Gatorade, Nike, whatever it is. and they get sponsorships, and that's how they get their money. So instead of complaining, make yourself attractive to corporate sponsorships, and you wouldn't worry about your base pay. We're going to listen to a little bit more, but I'm not going to harp on this.
Sorts of problems with the way that this market for labor, and it is basically a market for labor, works. Like, I personally don't think that the top football players in the world should be paid as much as they do. I think it's ridiculous, the amount.
That's market force.
Exactly. It's market forces.
Well, why shouldn't they get
that be the way that we decide, you know, who generates what? Personally, I'm very much in favor of the fact that they came out there and said collective bargaining. Ultimately, like, the average worker in this country hasn't had a pay rise in over a decade. How is that going to change? That's going to change when they organize with one another.
I am so tired of women whining.
Mate, it's the only person whining at the moment is you.
Literally, the men fund our leagues, and we will still whine that we don't get paid enough. And honestly, when athletes do shit like this, it makes all of us look bad. Because instead of being thankful for the league that we have, we go out and whine and complain about the pay.
I mean, as I said, I'm not whining. You sound like you're maybe doing a bit of whining. But like, personally, I don't think we should be whining. I think people should be organising. If you want a pay increase, join a union, get out there and fight for it. That's my view.
Should the women footballers get the same as the men?
Yeah, I think it probably makes sense.
Even if they're not making anything like the revenue?
Ultimately, like, it's not going to change. It's not going to change unless they organise. That's actually...
And this lady, she makes sense, but she doesn't have a clue. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you should get paid the same. But she doesn't have a clue of how revenue works. That doesn't make any sense. Why would you get, if you're not a big name talent, why would I give you more than the next person? You don't attract the fans to the stand. So why would I spend my money on you? You're mediocre. And when I say mediocre compared to men. We're comparing these sports to men's sports. I just want to show you this last clip.
This weekend than that. There it is. BG is back. You will see this weekend than that. There it is. BG.
But if you look at her dunk, that's when she got the ball. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. She look, and I used to play for fun in basketball, but I know you can't you can't get a half court run and start to dunk the ball. And they
there it is. BG is
you literally, and we wonder why are women in sports wondering why they can't get more. Why don't you? And it looks like they got some people packing the stands, but come on now, you're less exciting. And is that a dunk? To me, that was a layup. Let me know. To me, that was a straight layup. Okay, so maybe I got it wrong. Is this a dunk? Is that a dunk? Maybe it's a dunk because she's a girl. And I'm not trying to hate on that, but Brittany Griner, she's 6'9". She should be able to put her elbow in the rim.
You have to wash all of the dishes.
You only had 2 dishes, Chase. You need to dry all the dishes. I washed everything else. If they're not washed, then wash them and dry them all. But anyway, so you got a 6'9" woman and they screaming about, oh, she dunked the ball. No, she didn't dunk the ball. She did a layup and she touched the rim. Let me know if I'm wrong. Tell me, Chawanne, you being a hater. Chawanne, you hate. Okay. Tell me, Chawanne, you are hating.